impassioned speech in '72. Probably one of the greatest, I don't want to call it motivational speeches, but in Canadian history.
You know what? At the time, I didn't realize it because it just was coming out. I came close to swearing more than once during it.
Yeah.
And Esau saw it too.
Yeah.
But as I thought about it years later, what got me was the 3 or 4 guys that were in their 20s, I'm pretty sure, yelling communism is better. And that, look, even right now, there's a rush that goes through me that absolutely pisses me off. Okay? It's not better.
Well, I think we.
It's not freaking better.
Could you please tell our current Prime Minister?
Well, that dodo brain. You got him. We got it just as bad, so I can't say anything. I wish I could say more, but we got Dum Dum and you got Dum Dum Senior or Junior.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
It's terrible.
It's an interesting time.
You never know what dress he's going to wear next. It's
My sister says, I'm coming down to visit. I said, no problem. I said, you want to stay here permanently? She said, yeah, well, maybe. I said, well, then fly down to Mexico City. Come to the border. I'll pick you up. You're here. Because, I'm a Canadian American. I was born in Canada, so I'm a Canadian. I'm Italian descent. And
No, hang on a second. Esposito's an Italian name?
It is. Lots of people. Well, Dick Meadows thought I was a Cuban. My old man threatened him. He said, "You ever call my son a Cuban again? I'll pull that derby."
Yeah,
down
that
on
old
your-"
derby. How do you
He said,
do it?
"Onto your shoulders."
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was after the game in Toronto in '72.
Yeah.
Meadows called me a Cuban bandit. But my feeling is that I watched 3 inaugural speeches in my life, not to get too political, because I've been in the States, since '63, '64. Went home to work in the summertime until I was 30, which these guys playing now can't believe.
I know.
That you had to have a job.
That I worked in the summertime to make ends meet. I didn't make enough money. I mean, when I scored 76 goals, I don't remember, but I think I was making somewhere in the vicinity of $20,000 a year, So it had to work in the summertime. And I drove bulldozers, Euclids, PRs, you name it, I drove it. But those 3 inaugural speeches, I watched John Kennedy's. I would have voted for John Kennedy in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I watched Ronald Reagan's. I would have voted for Reagan for a heartbeat. And I watched the Obamas. And I wanted Obama to come out and say, I'm an American of African descent. But he didn't. He said, I'm an African American. And I shut the TV off. Because that divided us right away.
That's a really good point. You know what? I say the same thing at home about, we are becoming very divisive in Canada as well.
Absolutely.
And growing up in Northern Ontario, we had Italians, we had Ukrainians, everybody, you know what I mean? And everybody, but we all were a community.
Canadians. If you're born in Canada, you're Canadian.
And you know what?
And that's never going to stop with me.
It's the thing, I'm just extrapolating here, but
Good word.
assuming I'm assuming
I know
that
a big word too,
But I'm assuming that you probably feel the same way, that when you have had somebody to your home for dinner, when you've broken bread with somebody, that's an extension of your family. Like if you
Without a doubt.
Right, and so when I would go to my friends' houses and have dinner with the family, and we were always together, we were playing. I mean, we were just kids, right? But we were playing, and their mother was my mother, and believe me, their mother would give me hell when I did something wrong, not as much as they gave their own kid.
No,
right?
that's for sure.
Okay.
My aunt, who lived across the street, slapped me more than my mother for breaking her windows playing hockey. But Eddie Joyce, pow! I didn't know you had all these cameras too.
Oh, listen, it's a big time production.
Big time.
Big time.
Big.
This is
3 cameras.
I mean, you've probably seen this. Like you've done color for great networks, and you've been doing a lot of stuff for many years. Is this not the most exciting thing you've ever done?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm so excited that I'm not sure I can get through it.
All right, I'm going to start now.
Introduce the show.
Okay, good.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Offside with Haas McGuire and our new segment, which is called Shooting the
Shot.
That's right, Shooting the Shot. And today our guest is none other than number 7. And if you say number 7, that's all you have to say is Phil Esposito. And so, Liam, why don't you give us some stats first?
Well, we'd be here 10 minutes, but listen, there are some numbers that do bear being mentioned for sure. The guy played 18 years in the NHL. Phil, thank you so much. First, an honor to have you. 717 goals. First guy to have a 100-point season. First guy with 550-goal seasons. 2 Stanley Cups. 76-goal season in 1971 was the standard until it was broken by Gretzky. No one had even come close to 76 when he broke Bobby Hull's record, his former line mate and teammate with Chicago. And the All-Star games, the 100-point seasons, the Stanley Cups, all aside from Team Canada 72, which we will get to. I think everybody can see I'm wearing one of the replica jerseys, which Phil just added his name to the list of signatures here. And I'll finish on this note, because some of his other stats will come out later. But I will finish on this note by way of introduction. Phil Esposito played the greatest 20 minutes of hockey in the history of the sport. Third period, Game 8, Thursday, September 28, 72. That is beyond reproach. It was said by Paul Henderson on national TV when Team Canada was declared the team of the century on November 10th, 2000. I was on the set with him when Paul said it, and it's 100% true. So I'll finish on that note. The greatest 20 minutes ever played in the history of the sport by this man who's shooting the shot with Offside with Haas McGuire right now. Phil Esposito. What an honor, man.
Thank you, Liam.
What an honor.
Well, yeah, we'll do that shake too.
Let me put it this way. I wasn't going to lose.
I know that.
I wasn't going to let them beat us.
Listen, we may as well. We're open the door there, and we've got some other stuff that we were talking about before. Let's just go to 72 right now, then.
Absolutely.
Phil, you weren't going to lose. Can you just? I mean, do you recall them saying that they were going to take victory if the game stayed tied?
I didn't realize that until I heard somebody come over and whispered in Harry's ear or Fergie's ear, and then it spread like wildfire on the bench that they were claiming victory if the game was tied. Well, I wasn't. It didn't matter. I didn't care about that. But I'll say this: when Henny scored, it's the closest I've ever come to kissing another guy. I can tell you right now.
Well, there you have it.
I did. I mean, I wasn't coming. Guys were jumping off the ice and stuff, and I stayed on. And I know that I teed off a lot of our guys that were behind me. I know that. I know Clarkey was waiting. I know Ratty was waiting.
Yeah.
But I just felt myself that I wouldn't lose if I stayed on the ice.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
I felt that. Just like Henderson, why did he call Peter Mahavlich off?
I know.
Why?
Yeah.
It wasn't his turn to come,
No.
but he called Pete off. There was something, and I really think God has a way of rectifying a lot of wrong, because it was communism against capitalism. That's what it turned out to be, and I blame both countries.
Yeah.
I do. It turned political. Unfortunately, we were the pawns, and I got to be real good friends with Yakashev and Tretiak.
Yep.
Even Boris Mihailov, who I didn't like at all.
I know.
Didn't like.
That's
even
him you're calling on in the penalty box where you're doing this?
Well, the son of a bitch speared me.
Yeah.
You know where.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get him back, because if I did anything, I'd be in a penalty box.
Yeah.
And that wasn't where I should be.
No.
And I knew it. So I had to take it, suck it up, and take whatever they gave me, because I had to be on the ice. In my mind, I had to be on the ice. Wrong or right, it turned out right.
Yeah.
Could have turned out wrong? But it turned out right.
It turned out right. I mean,
And the rest is history.
the rest is history. Well, like Chris, you had touched. We've got it on tape already about the speech. In
Oh,
72.
so that was prior. Like
I know,
that
yeah.
moment, the 20 minutes, of the greatest hockey ever played.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I don't know, Manotick League Thursday nights.
Yeah. Well, Heather can attest to that.
But with all of your accolades, I'm going to take it there. Sorry.
Yeah,
With all your accolades, with 162 points,
152.
152, I'm
76 and
sorry.
76.
Okay, 150. The most prolific scorer in NHL history up to that moment, up to Wayne Gretzky coming along
And blowing me away.
No,
Good
but
old
but,
Wayno.
but point is, so one guy, big deal. One guy in a
he's
very
the best.
different league. I know he is, but you've had that. You had like the elation of winning in '72. You've had the Stanley Cup that you've hoisted over your head more than once.
No, I never did.
Oh, you didn't have it more. I thought you.
I never put it over my head.
Oh, okay.
Never.
Oh,
Put it
okay,
around.
sorry.
We didn't do that stuff.
No.
Yeah.
No, we didn't
No.
take it home.
No,
I mean, we
didn't happen
didn't
at
take
that
it.
time.
We stole it one time and put it in a bar, but the cops came and got it.
Where was the bar?
99 down the road from the Boston Garden.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But other than that, no, we weren't allowed to do that. We had it in our dressing room, and the difference is, we would fill it with champagne and drink beer. Now they fill it with beer and drink champagne.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a great line. That's a great line.
Well,
Write that down.
I will write that down. I'll just remember it. But listen, the speech. The thing is, and we
yeah.
talked about it, but the thing is, Phil, because here's where a lot of people get wrong. The team never saw it, right?
No,
The team didn't
I
see
never saw it for 10 years.
it. 10 years.
10 years, and I remember it was our 10th anniversary. It came up. I don't know. It was one of the breweries when we went to. It might have been Labatt's or it might have. Carlin O'Keefe was still around
Yeah.
then too.
Yeah, they were big. Yeah.
And Molson, of course, was around.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one it was. Can't remember. And they played it. My first instinct, be honest, I was embarrassed. I got embarrassed. I went, oh man.
Was it a bad angle or?
No, it was just that I kept saying things like, I can't believe it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was so emotional. I felt so bad for Billy Goldsworthy, what they did and how they booed him.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt bad for the guys, some of the guys in our team. I did. I knew that we could never win until we became a team. And after the very first game, when I went with Harry Sinden to the podium, as we're walking in Montreal Forum, I said to Harry, these guys are good. You better pick 20 guys and make us a team.
Yeah.
And if I'm not on one of them, don't worry about it. It's okay. But you better pick 20 guys and make a team, or else we're not going to win this.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, everybody was promised to play
Yeah.
a game. If we had done that, we would have lost.
Yeah.
You cannot win in a team sport unless you're a damn team.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
And tell you the truth, I would have never retired in January, halfway through the season, if the New York Ranger hockey team was better. Wayne wouldn't have retired halfway through the season if that team was better. If the team is good, you got a chance to win.
Right.
Yeah.
If the team is bad and you're 38, 39 years old or going on 40, like I was, what the hell are you doing? They got to replace you with younger people because if that's the name of the game,
Yeah.
to get younger and better. And old guys, we're not old, right? We're just hitting the prime of our life at 40, for crying out loud, really. But in sport, especially with the hockey, it's over the hill. I hear people talking about Ovechkin now. That, oh boy, he's just too old. Baloney. His team isn't good around him. You got to have good people around when you play a team sport.
Well, you have had experience in upper management of a particular hockey team in Florida. Okay, if you were the GM of Washington right now, what changes would you make to help Ovechkin achieve what he wants?
You can't, because of salary cap issues. You don't trade players anymore, you trade money.
Right.
And because of salary cap, which, if it wasn't instituted, teams like Tampa, the Panthers, Carolina, would have never survived.
Right.
I mean, I remember when we first started here in Tampa in '92, my budget was $8.5 million for everything. The Rangers were close to $80 million. How in the hell could we survive?
Yeah.
Can't do it.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so the came in where you had a cap was very, very important. The problem is, guys will go for the Stanley Cup now and trade first round picks and
Right.
trade this to win now.
Right.
Because let's face it, a general manager or coach doesn't have a long shelf life.
Right.
John Cooper has been here, 11 years, I think?
Yeah.
That's the longest I ever saw a coach stay in one place.
In,
if you
in,
think
in this
about it.
era.
Yeah.
In this era.
Yeah, very rare.
Yeah, since the expansion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all that other stuff in this
Yeah.
era. So, that's good, right?
Yeah.
But we've changed general managers,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's still a fact about the money. Now, we go to the cap. In fact, that's one of the things that is a problem. We're at the cap. Like Toronto, they got 5 guys that are going to be around $60 million next year. How in the hell at 85 million, 25 million more,
Yeah.
or 87 is it going to?
I think it's
Liam?
going up $4 million. It's going to go to 86 and change.
86 and change.
Yeah.
How do you $26 million for the rest of the team?
I know. There's no way.
How do you do it?
You can't. You can't win the cup.
I don't care who
under
the
that.
hell the general manager
No,
is.
no.
I'll
How
be
do you
honest,
do
Phil.
it?
I'm going to double shift.
Phil did.
You know what? No, you do it. You go down to 3 players and 5 defensemen like
That's
we
right.
used to play, and you pay the son of a bitches, and you keep on going.
Well, that's another way, you know. So
But you can't do that because of the players association.
Wow, that's-
Excuse
yeah.
me, the union now,
Yeah.
which
well,
I'm against.
That's a whole other. I mean,
Yeah.
you got a situation now with the salary cap where, in some instances, you can't even dress a full lineup. You have to play a
Sometimes,
player
right.
short. That's already happened 2 or 3 times this year, and you can't even get emergency recall till you play a player short. It's all convoluted.
The
It's
panic
Yeah.
of not having 6 defensemen on 4 lines
Yeah,
is ridiculous.
I know. I know.
In my estimation.
Yeah.
And people, when I say that to people that are in the game now,
Yeah.
you're the old school. You
Yeah.
bet your sweet bit I am.
Yeah.
I mean, we played with 3 lines for the temper. I averaged probably almost 35 to 40 minutes a game. Bobby Orr probably played over 40 minutes a game.
I know.
No doubt.
And look at the success.
Yeah.
So did
mean-
Dennis Potvin.
Yeah.
Even in
Yeah.
that era, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So come on. I'm still going.
Scotty
Here.
routinely double shifted Lafleur in the late 70s. I mean, he got a ton of ice.
If you're paying a guy 13, 14 million dollars, he better be playing and he better be producing.
Yeah.
And this 20-minute rule, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Oh, 20 minutes. Oh, he's playing 20 minutes. He's got to be tired.
Yeah.
Tired after 20 minutes?
Since when? I know.
They're
It's,
supposed to be in the greatest shape
I
of
know.
all time.
I know.
They look good on the beach. They
Yeah.
do. Now, we didn't look so good. In fact, when I laid on the beach, people wanted to harpoon me.
Hold on.
But
now.
I get last.
I got to go back to 72. We can't
Okay.
just skate
All right,
over
let me-
this.
let me-
I got
Liam,
Phil. Hold
Liam, I
on.
have just one question.
Yeah.
You're fixated on 72? Eh?
No, but we opened the door.
We did open the door. but
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Just saying. It's like you know what?
Am I fixated? Yeah.
You're fixated. I just want to point that
Yeah,
out.
but look who we got here.
Yeah.
So-
oh no, I know.
yeah.
Oh no, I absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to do a couple things.
Liam's
Phil.
gonna ask you some questions about 1970.
Really? Is he going to do it again, Chris? Here we go.
No, listen. You've already said some things. A lot of emotion. Do you have any hard feelings towards Hadfield, Gouvernement, Martin, and Perrault?
Absolutely not. If I wasn't playing, I wouldn't have stayed idle.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have stayed in Russia.
Yeah.
I can't believe guys like Bobby
Yeah.
and Wayne Cashman with that tongue.
With the
and-
tongue, yeah.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
I would have been long gone. People hated me, too bad.
Yeah.
I'm not staying in that godforsaken country back in 1972.
Yeah.
Now, I've been back there.
Yeah.
On 2012, I went back for the 40th anniversary. I was reluctant to do it.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do it. My brother wouldn't go near it. I sat right across from Putin at the luncheon. And I looked him right in the eye, this guy. I did. And he asked me one question. Why weren't you embarrassed when you fell on your butt? No, he didn't say butt. He said ass, okay?
Yeah.
And I went, Well, you can either laugh about it or cry about it,
Yeah.
and I chose to laugh about
Yeah.
it.
You did the great thing like this, and
Yeah.
everybody.
And he says, if it were me, through the interpreter, although he
Yeah,
understood
yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
he said, I would have buried my head in the ice like an ostrich. And I looked at him, I said, that was you, not me.
Yeah, and I've seen him play, and he should bury his head.
I played against him. I wouldn't let him score. The guys, Kasatonov said, you got to let the president score. I said, like hell I'm going to let him score. I went behind him, picked up the stick.
Good for you.
I did.
That's awesome.
I call him rootin' tootin' pootin', he laughed. I liked the man at that time. He was okay. He looked me in the eyes. He had a twinkle in his eyes. Now when I see him on television, doesn't look like the same human being.
No.
He doesn't look like this, and that's why I haven't gone back.
Yeah.
In fact, my let me show you. This is my space saver on, on your phone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Look.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, do it to this one, and they'll see it better.
Right here.
1 minute. Let me.
Yep.
That's my thing, and that's in Red Square in 2018.
No way. Wow.
Yeah. We used to go there and play hockey.
It's now my screensaver, by the way.
We used to play on Red Square. Yakashev and I would, because it was like 300 feet long.
Yeah.
We'd stand at the red line waiting, going, guys, come on. Yaki and I, it was funny.
You really have become friends with him, eh?
And is he
I
down
have.
here?
Huh?
No,
he in
no,
Florida?
he's
No,
over-
he doesn't speak. He doesn't speak English very well, and I certainly don't speak Russian. But after 4 or 5 vodkas, we understood each other perfectly.
Phil, there's never been in the history of sports, any sport, at any time, has ever happened a moment that happened in Game 8 when Cornway tied it up, the goal light didn't go on, and Eagleson's going off.
Yeah.
And a bunch of guys, Bergman, Little M, went over the boards. Team came around.
Peter was the guy
They're
that
carrying
saved him.
guns. You guys got hockey sticks. Do you remember what you were feeling at that time when that went down?
He was part of our group.
Yeah.
Didn't matter my personal feelings. My personal feelings, I would have let him stay there and go to jail. But that's another story. But he was part of the team.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I often said to Ronnie Duguay, I've said it to. I've said it to Barry Beck. I've said it to Donnie Murdoch and Ronnie Gressner when I went to the Rangers. Doesn't matter. I don't like everybody I played with personally. But when I was on that stinking ice, they were my teammate. They were my family.
Yeah.
And nobody was going to mess, and nobody messes with me, and nobody messes with them. We stick up for one another. And that's what a team is. You got to have that bonding.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out and have social with them. You don't have to drink with them all the time or go to dinner. But on that stinking ice, boy, that's your teammate. And you better stick up with them.
Did the games against Sweden, those 2 games, when we talked about Wayne Cashman, I believe he got speared by Ulf Sterner, I think.
It was.
And it was vicious, knocked him out. He had played decently the games in Canada, I thought, when he dressed.
He was terrific.
He was terrific. He would have been an incredible asset. Anyways, you lose him. But did the games in Sweden help you guys?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
We became a team in Sweden.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember sitting in across from the Grand Hotel. It was like a little park or something.
Yeah.
Gila
Point's wife had just given birth.
Just give birth, and
Yeah.
we had a couple of cases, or maybe a couple of cases of beer.
Yeah.
And we all sat there and we were celebrating, and we started to gel.
Yeah.
And I remember Eagleson coming in and telling us that the Russians don't want to allow the women or anybody to come over to Moscow.
Yeah.
They want to change the game plan. They don't want to allow it. And I think it was me that said, why don't you and Harry and Fergie get out of here and let's talk And we all talked about it, and we said, if they change the deal, we're gone. We're going home. The deal stuck. We shook hands. We made a deal. We'll stick by our word. And that's as good as you can get. You got to stick by your word, and you did it. And so we told Eagleson, we either allow the wives, which in retrospect was a stupid idea. They should have stayed home because they couldn't even feed them. Couldn't feed them. We used to have to sneak food to them.
Was your food stolen?
Absolutely.
Your beer stolen?
Yeah, the beer really pissed us off. It really did. But that's another story. But they did. It was taken. I mean, I ate horse meat, blackbird. I remember that. Holy crap, I couldn't believe that. And look, I lost 14 pounds over that.
Really? Wow. Jesus.
I weighed 228, 229 when I was playing over there. When I got back, I was about 214, 212.
I'm on the next plane.
Not anymore.
No.
Trust me. They are more capitalistic now than...
It's changed. Yeah.
They're New York on steroids.
Really?
Moscow.
Chris and I were talking driving here about the fans that went, the Canadian fans, and I said
unbelievable.
you would make that statement.
Unbelievable. They were... I think the Russians were shocked, the fans, that they were so boisterous and so loud. But for us, man, it was terrific. And the telegrams that lined our walkway into our dressing room.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. It was really weird. Women would come in, and I mean, they were older women, you know, with a mop and a thing, and while we're getting dressed, and they're mopping the floors. And, I mean, we couldn't understand all that. I remember saying to one, out, yet, she goes, yet. In other words, she's got to clean.
Right.
If she didn't clean, who knows? They send her to Siberia or something. I don't know. And we were like, well, the hell with it. We let them do it. We just undressed and got dressed and went in the shower. It didn't matter. It just didn't matter.
Wow. I only got two more.
Oh, yeah, no.
On 72.
By the way, most of the women had more hair under their arms and on their legs than I did.
I believe it. Look at the East German swim team in the 72 Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
You know? We all know they were
They
men.
could braid them. No.
Listen, what did you think when the JP Parise incident happened there at the start of Game 8? Like, what was your sense of? Because things had been so crazy, and this was the start of the game. And, you know, people don't know JP had never been received a game misconduct in hockey, and he never received one since. But you know what, Phil? After he did that, he got kicked out. If you look at the stats and you watch that game, Game 8, the greatest moment, greatest game. They called it fairly after that, compel and batter those two useless.
We believe, or at least I did, that they were influenced because
100%.
without a doubt,
100%.
you know, their families were in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Not them so much as the families. I mean, that was rampant. Even the Russians admitted to me in 2016 that things were, they were intimidated also. Their families were intimidated by the political bureau, you know?
Right. They were all promised new cards if they won, and they didn't give them the cards.
They didn't give them anything.
Didn't give them anything.
I remember Petrov coming back from Canada.
Yeah.
He had on 5 pair of jeans. 5 pair of jeans. They didn't think that he looked heavier, but they didn't think. They pulled him off and gave him to his brother, went to his brother. And
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
they live like kings here.
Yeah.
They got all the equipment. They got everything. You know, I mean, we gave them everything.
Yeah.
And they had a taste. They got a taste. I remember after the series, I said to Yakushev, Yaki, come to Boston. I get you $100,000. Play in Boston. He goes, no. Come Moscow. I get you apartment.
That's going to be a hell of an apartment.
It better be. I'll never forget that. I looked at him like, are you nuts out of your mind?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Phil, got to finish on 72 unless you have anything else, Chris, but got to finish on this one. You scored 7 goals. Yakushev scored 7 goals. So did Paul Henderson. You got the game winners in the last 3. You played against Paul. He came in the league shortly after, like right around the same time as you. He's with Detroit, goes to Toronto. You know all this. But Let's plain and simple. You've always called a spade a spade. Do you think Paul Henderson should be in the Hall of Fame?
My honest opinion, no.
No?
But there's a lot of guys I don't think should be in the Hall of Fame right now.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion.
Yep.
It's supposed to be on a body of work in the NHL.
Yeah.
Period.
And now Yakushev and Harlamov and Tretiak are all in.
Body of work in the NHL.
Yeah.
Now, they include the world now,
Yeah.
and that's a different thing. But at the beginning, when I went in, it was a body of work in the NHL.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So you think it's watered down?
look, I'm not going to say, do guys deserve it? If that's what the people think, and that's
Yeah.
what the guys that are voting
Yeah.
think, who am I to say no? It's my opinion. But opinions are like, you know what?
Yeah.
Everybody has one.
Not
Well,
a
I'm
problem.
gonna try to make this fucking jolly now.
Okay, Chris.
Don't worry, I can get there.
Okay. So I had started by saying, you have all these accolades. If you could point to one, and I know this is going to be next to impossible.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
What's the one?
The greatest thing I ever achieved in my life was getting the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Ever. They can take me out of the Hall of Fame as a player, but put me in as a builder.
Yeah.
Because I did more as a builder than I did as a player. God gave me talent to play, and I exploited that talent. He didn't give me talent to go and raise $55 million and to start a franchise,
Yeah.
but I did it. I hired good people, and I made sure that people around me would carry out what I wanted because I didn't know how.
But
And
you
it
built
was
your
always
team.
have again people around you.
Well, it always comes back to that team comment. you made.
Absolutely. So I had to get a team that would, I'd give the ideas and everything else, and they had to implement them. Because I didn't go to college, I got kicked out of grade 13, out of 2 schools I went through.
Which ones?
One was in Sarnia, Ontario. It was Catholic high school, and the Mother Superior called me a hockey bum. And I went, whoa.
Yeah.
I said, well, I didn't come here to go to school.
Yeah.
I came to play hockey. And she said, well, you're expelled.
Is that when you were playing Junior B with
I
the
was playing
Legionnaires?
Junior B.
Yeah.
But I was making $10 a week playing.
Yeah.
They're paying my dad was sending me $10 a week. And I got a job for $40 a week as a janitor. I was in heaven, man.
$60 a week.
Yeah,
and
it was
happy,
great.
they were.
And you had 12 points in a game.
I bought all the hot hamburgers.
Well, hot hammers. Perfect. I know you tore that league up.
So, I know, and it's not a secret how close you were with your brother.
Yeah.
Okay, and I mean, 2 kids.
Not close enough.
No.
We weren't close enough because of the separation distance. Tony would come back to the Sioux, and Tony became an American citizen in '80 to play for
Team USA.
Team USA
Yep.
for some reason. I forgot what the
I
reason
think the
was. It
81
wasn't
Canada
Olympic.
Cup, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. And I never did. And I never gave up my citizen. I didn't give up. I just got I got an American passport, and I'm dual citizen.
Yeah.
So I keep my Canadian passport, absolutely. I'm born in Canada. I'm a Canadian. You can't take that. You can't deny that. And I keep telling people that when they say, well, I'm an Italian American. I said, where were you born? Best thing, I'm signing autographs in Chicago one time. This guy comes up and he said, it was a black dude, and he says, you signed for a brother? I said, sure. He says, where were you born? He says, Chicago. I said, so you're an American? He said, I'm African American. I said, where were you born? He said, Chicago. So you're born in USA, right? He said, yeah. I said, so you're an American African? He said, no, I'm African American. I said, where were you born?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
guy
sure,
looked
sure.
at me and he goes, I never thought about that. Politicians don't think about it either.
But it's very
People on
divisive.
television that do the news don't think about it. And personally, I think it separates.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It separates. because you've got to be proud of from where you were born. Your ancestors, sure, you can have some pride with that, but do I know anybody in Italy? No. Nobody. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're
I'm
responsible
sorry.
for, indirectly, for Wayne Gretzky wearing 99.
How? Because I wore 77?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was wearing 99 in the WHA, wasn't he?
No, he was in the suit.
Yeah.
Playing in the suit, wearing
remember.
14 and 12. I mean, even when you went to the Rangers, because you couldn't get 7, right?
Yeah.
Because of Gilbert.
Yeah, Fergie actually came up with it. I mean, I was wearing 12, I think.
Yeah.
And then John and I, Fergie and I had a little bit of a relationship because of 72.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really liked John.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot. And we got along. Like, he took me with him to Winnipeg to get Anders, Hedberg, and Nielsen.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ultra,
Yeah.
you know, and I went with him. And, but there was a special thing because of Team Canada.
Yeah.
I said the same thing to Harry Sinden when he traded me, and then he never called me to tell me. It hurt me.
Yeah.
It hurt me that he didn't tell me. He made Don Cherry tell me. And that bothered me, boy. That bothered me big time. Because honestly, Harry owed me a phone call
For sure.
to tell me
Yeah.
that I got traded.
Yeah.
And especially since when 12 games in and we signed and we shook hands, he said, "Do you want a no trade in your contract?" I looked at him and I said, "Do I need it after 72? If we lose,
Yeah.
he'll never get a job in hockey
No,
again, neither would
absolutely.
Fergie."
That's right. Yeah.
Okay? And I had something to do with winning. So I figured at least a phone call, Harry.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get over it. And obviously, I'm still probably not all the way over it
Yeah.
all these years later
Yeah.
because I loved playing in Boston.
Yeah.
I did. I gotta admit, I did. There was something about the old garden
Yeah.
and something about that black jersey with the Bruin crest on it that was prideful to me.
Yeah.
Really prideful. And I gave up a lot of money in the WHA to stay there.
Yeah.
But
Can only imagine.
crap happens. That's all
But
I
the
can
trade
say.
from Chicago to Boston, I know it wouldn't have been near the same.
Oh, I knew I was gone.
You did, eh?
Oh yeah, because Bobby Hull used to get me in so much trouble. He did. But in Bobby's defense, I learned more about life and about hockey from Bobby Hull than anybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Really?
I'll tell you what, if there was a better guy for me at that time when I'm 21 years old,
Yeah.
22, to learn about the life. I remember going to New York the first time we took the train from Chicago. I'm walking around and I'm looking at, he says, "Be careful you don't get a sunburn on the roof of your mouth." I know. Then I bought a watch. I paid $25 for it. We go into the dressing room. I look at the watch, guys. Bobby looks at it. He shakes it, and the bottom fell out, and there was nothing in it. He said, "You got rook, kid." Robert was.
Well, we'll get you a new watch.
Nah,
It may not have anything inside of it either.
He says that was the worst trade in Chicago history. Bobby always, God rest his
Yeah.
soul. I mean,
Well, it was, but Billy Ray and I didn't get along.
yeah.
I don't know why.
Like you were 7th in scoring that year. It made no sense. The trade.
Well, the 3 years in Chicago, somebody told me just recently. First year I was there, I was 11th. Second
Yeah.
year I was 9th.
Yeah.
Third year I was 7th.
Yeah.
So I was obviously moving up.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
in Boston, the first year I ended up second. Stan beat me out in the
Yeah.
last day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And I remember too, I had 49 goals, but I scored 50. That puck went in the net. To this day, that puck went in the net. And I had a $10,000 bonus,
Nice.
and I never got it.
What?
Never gave it. To
They
me.
never gave him the goal.
They never gave me the goal.
They didn't have a video replay back then.
I see.
But I know that puck went in the net. I
Yeah.
see it right now. I'm thinking about it. But
Oh, it's 68. Yeah.
you know, those were days back then.
Yeah.
You know? But look, I am so blessed with being able to sit with guys like you and talk about this sort of stuff, and it gets my memory jogging, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like that because I remember things from way back when, and I remember some of the stories that we can't even say on.
Well, actually, that's what I want to take you.
No,
to
no,
that
you
direction.
can't do that.
No, so I have a way of doing. We can edit all that stuff out.
Oh, sure you do.
No.
You're giving him the big wink. Nice try, Chris.
No. What I was going to say is that the Tampa Bay establishment was your greatest success,
Without a doubt.
So, throughout that, tell me some of the challenges that you've had in that you feel great about. Like, I mean, I know that all of the raising money.
In the first
and all that
place,
stuff,
it cost me a divorce. Cost me every penny that I ever had in the world. Every penny. I was flat busted. Eagleson tried to screw me big time. I had more, and a guy named David Lefevre tried to screw me. A guy named George Steinbrenner tried to screw me. And I fought them all off. And believe me, it was a fight to the finish. But I was content on being here. If I had to, I'd go sell cars on Florida Avenue. But I wasn't leaving Tampa Bay. I wasn't. And this is the place I wanted to be and retire here and live here for the rest of my life. I was sick and tired of the Northeast, sick and tired of the cold, and I didn't want any more part of it. And I wanted to put this team here. I was on the marketing committee as a player, and I was on the marketing committee as a general manager. I knew they wanted to expand, but they told me to stay away from Texas. I told Johnny Ziegler, I don't want to go to Texas. See, I didn't know Minnesota the next year moved to Dallas.
Yeah.
See, that deal was already been in process,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So I didn't know that, but I wanted Florida. I went to Orlando, they threw me out because they had basketball. Went to Miami because they had buildings.
Yeah.
Miami threw me out, basketball. Then I met a guy named Henry Paul. Henry Paul's father was Gabe Paul, who was president of the Yankees, Cleveland Indians, baseball guy.
Okay.
Tried to bring baseball here early on. I met with him, had met Henry, and Henry's an attorney, and maybe one of the only attorneys I really like. No offense to the rest of the attorneys, but I don't know. At the end of this meeting I had with him, I looked at him in the eye, and I, just like I'm doing to you, Chris, and I said, "You think hockey could survive in this market?" He said, "Well, we love football, we love car crashes, we love boxing, and we love wrestling. Seems to me you got it all in hockey." And I went, "I'm going for it. Are you with me?" We shook hands, never had a piece of paper. We're still partners.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And is he still around?
Absolutely. When Tony and I got bought out, and we got bought out and fired by that lunatic Art Williams, who was a lunatic, should have been in jail for what he did for people. But that's another story. Henry quit. They wanted him to work with Jacques Demers, who they made general manager. And Jacques called him, and Henry said, "No, I'm going back to my own practice." He's an attorney. He said, "If Phil and Tony are gone, I'm gone." You don't find loyalty like that in this world.
No.
You know what
It's
I mean?
very
Especially at
rare.
that level.
Very
And
rare.
when you have it, you know it. Right?
You know it.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, you know it. And to this day, like, I almost invited Henry here today, but he said he had to go and do some lawyer work. I said, "Oh, boring."
Man, that
He
would've
said,
been
"I
cool.
know it is."
Jeez, that would have been amazing.
Because he remembers a heck of a lot more about the forming of this. Because, like I said, I used to say, "This is what I think should be done. Can we do it?"
Yeah.
I don't want you to tell me, "Henry, you can't do it." I want you to do it. I remember this guy from the securities, a lawyer, comes in and says, "You can't do that, Phil. They won't allow you with the Securities Exchange Commission and all that." I looked at him and I said to him, I said, "Listen, it was 9:30 at night. Okay, we had been there all day." And I said, "If you don't get it done, don't come back, because if you do, I'm going to throw you through the window. You understand? Get it done. I don't want to know how, and I don't care how. Just get it done. 2 days later, he says, I can't believe it. I got it done. I said, see what you can do when you apply yourself.
Were you surprised Ottawa was in there with you? That they got the
I'm
team?
sorry?
Were you surprised the Senators and came in with Tampa?
No, I wasn't surprised by the Senators getting it, because it was, Hamilton was cum si cum sa.
Yeah.
They were,
Yeah.
and Toronto wasn't going to let Hamilton come in on an expansion. And Buffalo wasn't either.
Yeah.
The television was too great
Yeah.
around there. And Craig, you knew it. If you didn't know it and you didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah.
And so Ottawa, I didn't think was a problem. It was far enough away from Montreal, far enough away from Toronto that they could have their own sphere and everything else. And tell you the truth, Roy Firestone was a nice guy. He really was.
Yeah.
It was Roy, wasn't
Bruce.
it?
No, Bruce.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Roy Firestone
Roy's
was
a
that
TV
other
guy,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
TV guy.
Yeah.
Bruce Fire, yeah. But I do remember, and I say this in all due respect to them, at the draft, the expansion draft, they weren't prepared like we were.
No.
They
Wow.
weren't.
I think that became evident.
Yeah.
But they didn't give us like the third goalie, you know?
No.
Or
Right.
we got to take the fifth defenseman.
No, you got
The
scraps.
following year,
Yeah.
which we were promised they wouldn't expand till 96. Promised. Because we would establish ourselves in the Florida market. Right?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
television sphere, the whole bit. Then
Panthers the very
if
next
you
season.
somebody coming into the market, fine. But the following year, John Ziegler was no longer there. You had that lawyer,
Gil Stein.
Gil Stein, that crooked
Yeah.
character, and Bruce McNall.
Yeah.
What can I say about him? You know, he spent time in jail.
Yeah.
These two guys, because of the $50 million from Disney and from Huizinga,
Yep.
which was Blockbuster then,
Yeah.
$100 million split among them,
Yeah.
you know, they were coming in.
Yeah.
But then they changed the rules. And I remember saying at the meeting, I stood up and I said, this is wrong. And I was told, shut up and sit down by Gil Stein. And I got up and I walked out.
Wow.
There was nothing I could do about it. They changed the rules. You could protect, and that's how we got Pupa. Clarkey got the general manager in Florida,
Yeah.
but he had Van Beesbrook, Fitzpatrick,
Yeah.
and Pupa. I had to trade a third-round pick to get Darren Pupa.
Jeez.
I mean, we got screwed, both us and Ottawa.
Yeah.
We did, without a doubt.
Yep.
And that's why
But
Gil Stein is.
I think worse for you because now you have a competitive team in your market.
Yeah,
You thought
well,
you'd have
and then
Florida.
they divided the television thing, and they gave them Fort Myers and Naples, and we got the Panhandle. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Did you get the teeth to go with the Panhandle people?
I've never been to the Panhandle.
Oh
you know?
no! Oh,
I've
it's
never been up there.
You know what? It's like
my wife says-
it's like Arkansas-ish.
Really?
Well, they're tough people. Like I mean, and in knowing this, let's say they're from
Well, my wife
they're
says
from Iron
Destin.
Bridge. If I was going to use a Sioux Sudbury,
Iron Bridge.
they're from Iron Bridge.
Sudbury, Coppercliff. You guys,
That's right.
I used to tell Doogie he'd sunbathe on the rocks.
That's right.
Hey, by the way, we interviewed him yesterday, and he said you're his favorite person of all in all of hockey. And he says, ask Phil, he used to pick us up for practice.
Oh, I lived vicariously through those years.
That's what he said. He said, tell me about
I
last
was the
night.
married one, right?
Yeah.
So I would go and pick up Murdoch and Dukes, mostly those two. One would have to sit in the front and tell me what they did the night before. The other one could sleep in the back seat. So they would tell me the stories of what they did. And I'd go, God, to be young and single again.
They were
And
living
so
life.
look, I really like Ronnie Duguay. I always have. I just wish if he had taken the job of broadcasting like I wanted him to, he'd still be here.
Really?
He'd still be here doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you never know in life, right?
Well,
Yeah.
He's doing okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely,
yeah.
you know.
Doing all right. We were at his
Looks
home
good.
yesterday. He looks good.
Yeah.
He
he's,
looks terrific. He
yeah.
always has, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
He
staying
always
on top
has.
of his game. He's still actively involved publicly anyway. He's still out doing lots, even though he's not
he
on
does
TV.
a lot.
Yeah.
Dukes is a special person.
Yeah.
He really is, and he came to all my golf tournaments when I was doing this charity for actually sled hockey players. We did it for Wounded Warriors.
Yeah.
And I did raised a lot of money for that. In fact, I took a sled hockey team up to Toronto
Oh yeah.
during the Canada Cup, the last Canada Cup, and they had a Northern Ontario sled hockey team play against our guys
Okay.
and our girls, because the girls were on it too. You ever sit in one of those?
I have.
I have not.
Yeah, I did.
That's not easy.
It's unbelievably tough. It's
Unbelievably
unreal
tough.
how sore and tired your arms get
Your arms.
trying to pick on the
Yeah.
ice.
And you
Get
don't
that
realize how much your
Yeah.
legs need.
I know, because you're strapped
Oh.
in there.
Yeah.
Well, no, listen, that's how I play now. My legs don't go anyway. I'll just anecdotal. It's the other night. I got in a little tussle, right?
Yeah.
I'm still playing. Okay.
Oh, are you?
Oh
Good
yeah,
for
I'm
you.
playing in
Good for you.
three different leagues. So I'm playing and a lot of younger guys, right? And so I use my ass a little bit more than I used to. So we're going to the corner, and I just ask this guy out, and I pick up the puck, and he gets furious, okay, and he starts coming at me. We get into a little bit, and I said, "Listen, relax, buddy." I said I didn't even move my legs. He goes, "Yeah, you never do." And I thought, great carve. I was mad at the guy, but at the same time, I thought that was good.
Good comeback.
My brother used to say, and Bobby Taylor said the same thing. Johnny Busick, right? He used to say he got the fattest ass you ever saw in your life. When he stood in front of you, he blacked out everything.
He was solid. Oof.
Yeah.
But I like that because then I was shooting.
Listen, on that note, and I know we're winding down,
Yeah.
but we got to ask about the Stanley Cups with Boston, and like specifically Bobby Orr, because Phil, you must get this all the time because you're one of the greatest of all time. You've been voted top 10. You're out your top 5 all time, top 6 all time. Bobby, you played with Bobby, your teammate. Can you share some insight of what it was like with Bobby Orr as a teammate and those Bruin Cup wins in 70 and 72?
Well, Orr was, without a doubt, the greatest defenseman I ever played. I don't, although he only, played 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, you had a couple injury seasons and it works out to 10 and change.
The guy that did the first operation on him was a butcher. It wasn't a butcher, I shouldn't call him that. He was just an ordinary practitioner guy,
Yeah.
doctor that did those things. We didn't have specialists back then.
Yeah.
And it really screwed him up,
Yeah.
right? Because I think about it. Bobby Orr could have played 20, 23 years like Ray Bork did, and Ray was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But Bobby, there would be things that no one would ever touch as far as stats are
Yeah.
concerned and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the Stanley Cups would have kept on coming.
Yeah.
And I probably would have never got traded.
Yeah.
But they knew Bobby was leaving. And from what I understand, that Eagleson did not tell Orr that he was offered 10% of the Boston Bruins on a
No,
contract
that
Sickening
was
story.
and sent him to Chicago. Why?
just for
The
cash.
rumor is, no, because of Canada Cups. He needed Wirtzy, who was head of the
Oh,
committee,
Head of the board of directors.
board of directors,
Yeah.
excuse me, thank
Yeah.
you. And he needed him to get these Canada Cups going, which were fine, but he sacrificed Bobby. And that's why, and I'm telling you, the solid gold pucks, we got solid gold pucks,
Yeah.
4 of us. Me, Haji, Busick, and Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay, for scoring 100 points. It's
Yeah.
the second time I had done it, but 4 of us were in that.
Yep.
There were 6 of us in the top 10 in
I
scoring
know.
that
It's
year.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got these solid gold pucks. I had a Russian offer me $750,000 for it, and I said, I can't sell it to a Russian. There's no freaking way I could ever sell it to a Russian.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about it lately. Kenny Hodge and I have ours. Bobby gave his to Eagleson way back when.
Wow.
Johnny Busick sold his way back then.
Yeah.
and don't know where it is, but there's Kenny Hodge and I still have it. And I was thinking, if I don't do something with it, I give it to my daughter, she's just going to sell it. I mean, what's she going to do with it?
Well, maybe the Hockey Hall of Fame will buy it. I just
No.
You
I'm an
kidding me?
optimist.
Not a hope in
I'm an
hell.
optimistic kind
they,
of guy.
They almost buy nothing. They expect these guys to
They
give.
want me to give it to them,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
No, nor should you.
Absolutely.
So,
No
Phil,
way.
are you suggesting?
I will hold it for you. And
You're
I
suggesting
promise
you
I'll
may
never
sell it? You're thinking of selling it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's 14 karat solid gold.
Yeah.
Because, 18 karat is too soft to mold and all this stuff. But it's solid gold. Kenny Hodge has his too.
Yeah.
And you guys
Wow.
are going to
We're going to see
Yeah,
Kenny
we're gonna see
next.
him.
Yeah.
And he may, well, I have mine in a safety deposit box, but I don't know whether Kenny has it around. But it's, the thing is, I couldn't get a Canadian interested in it. And I see this, either a person in Boston, because it has
Yeah.
the Bruins,
Oh, okay, yeah, it's got the Bruins logo on
and
it.
it's got a nice cover and all this other stuff. But I just couldn't think of myself to sell it to a Russian.
Oh no, I absolutely.
Well,
I
they're
get
building
that.
their Hall of Fame over there.
Are they?
They were.
Oh, they were.
I don't know whether they're still doing it. It's on the 4th or 5th ring, where they built the rink where they had the World Cup or something one time years ago.
Oh, well,
built
they had the
rink
Olympics in 2014. We're in Sochi.
there. Okay, it wasn't so.
No.
Okay.
This
No, I
is
think
on,
they think in
like
the 50s when
Moscow's
they-
Oh,
Moscow's in rings.
Okay, yes,
Okay?
yes.
This
Yeah.
is on the 4th ring, I think, outside of Moscow.
Okay.
And they built this big rink,
Yeah.
and they were building a Hall of Fame there.
Okay.
And they asked me if I would donate some stuff, and they thought about the gold puck. And I said, I'm not donating anything.
Yeah.
You want to pay for it? And they said, how much you want? Now, first I said $1 million. Never hurts to ask, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody came up with around 750, and I'm thinking, do I want to give it to them? No, I don't think so. No offense to them.
Yeah.
They're good people. The people are terrific.
But listen, it should
Politics are-
stay home, whether that be.
It should
you
be
know,
Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be somebody in the Sioux who's got money.
Are you kidding? Please, are you kidding? There in Canada, really, I mean, there are a few people, I suppose, that do that, but I'm not. Haji and I were both talking about it. Then I said maybe we give 2 for 1. Get one price. I told Kenny,
Yeah.
I said, but I'm taking more than you. I am.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
This,
You're Phil Esposito.
well,
He's-
you know
he's
what?
a hell of a player,
I'll
too.
tell you right now, I don't have the money,
Okay.
but I would be if I had the money. If I win the lottery, I will personally, with a bag of whatever currency you
Doesn't matter.
want.
It's
I
all
would-
my money for my daughters anyway. My 2 daughters.
Well, you know
that are
what?
left.
I'll tell you, it would be.
I mean, think about it. I'm fine. I'm gonna be 82. I mean, Jesus,
But you're in
I
great
gotta-
shape for 82, and I'm not
Yes,
just
I
blowing
am.
smoke.
I feel
you know,
good.
yeah.
I really do. The good thing was that I've lost over the last year and a half about 30 pounds.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I found it.
Did you? Yeah, my wife, she said she found it too. And I
Yeah.
said, really? I said, well, lose it.
Yeah.
Find
so,
it to give it to somebody
so
else.
what's your like? What have you been doing to lose the 30 pounds?
Well, I was working out quite a bit, but the pandemic and the crap with this stupid COVID. I was around in 1968 with the pandemic with the swine flu,
Yeah.
or whatever it was back then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over 350,000 people died in the U.S. alone in 1968 of that.
Yeah.
We didn't shut anything down.
They wanted to. They listen. This was a.
The-
I'm going to sound like I
This-
need to wear a hat, a silver hat, or whatever.
I know.
Because but this was a farce. The whole thing.
I couldn't
The
agree
whole
with you
thing.
more.
You
Chris.
know.
I couldn't agree with you more. And this
Definitely.
flu shots all the time. I take a flu shot every year, I never took a
Yeah.
COVID shot.
So I had a bunch of COVID shots because I have a son I have a daughter who lives in Florida and a son who lives in Arizona, and there was no way I was not going to see my kids.
Yeah.
And my wife's a dual citizen.
Oh, you gotta go.
So, but you could fly.
Yes.
Right, but you had to be vaccinated. So I got all the vaccinations. Still got.
You still got.
I still
cold.
got VD. No, no. I didn't get
It almost
COVID.
passed me
Yeah,
by,
no.
but I got it.
We know.
Massive overreaction.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And but you said about losing weight. There was other things. We really started to watch what I ate. You know, I'm a pasta freak. Okay, I'll eat pasta every day. I could eat it every day of the week.
You're not doing much for the Italian stereotypes, you know that.
I know that. I know. But that's I like it. Hell, I like it with butter. You know,
Yeah.
I like it with salt and pepper. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But my portions are down.
Yeah.
And I eat probably 3 or 4 times a day, smaller portions,
Yeah.
and it helped. Plus, I was working out like really well, and all of this. Couldn't go to a gym anymore. I
Yeah.
couldn't do this, so I walked a lot. I even skated a lot.
You're still skating.
I haven't skated since probably 2018 in Russia.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
your screensaver shot was taken.
That's-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I skated in Russia. Every year I went back 2 or 3 times to play hockey and to do appearances. I've been from Ufa, which is way up north, down to every place there is in Russia.
And when you're there,
People still remember.
do they? Yeah.
I saw a picture on the side of a car. I got it on my phone. On the side of a car, I was sitting in a bar with Scotty McPherson. You know Scotty?
I never met him, but I know who he is.
Was he a referee?
No.
No.
Scotty is really a good guy, and he lives there in Moscow, and he married a girl from Belarus. And Scotty's an entrepreneur. He is the president of the Kunin Red Stars
Okay.
in the KHL that play they play in Moscow.
Okay.
Okay, they play in Moscow, and Scotty and I, and honestly, it's like, here it is.
Look at
You're
that.
kidding.
That's it.
On the
That's
side of a car.
crazy.
That's
I
unbelievable.
run out of the bar to take this. On the
Oh.
other side was Tretiak.
Really?
And they still remember because they play it every year in its
That's-
entirety.
I just got
that series.
I know, me
goosebumps.
too.
That's you know. So I
Let
need
me
to
hold
send
this
you
up to the
that.
camera.
That's yeah.
Can you believe that?
That is crazy.
That is when I saw it, I went, "Holy crap!" And I ran outside to take the shot of it, and
You must have been blown away.
I was, but they still
You
remember,
still remember, yeah.
That's great.
because they play that series.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to Vlad and a couple of other guys,
Yeah.
in its entirety, starting on September 2nd, we started.
He started September 2nd, yeah.
Until the
Yeah.
28th.
Till the
They
28th.
play each game.
Yeah.
So the kids, see it.
Yeah.
What do we do in Canada? They didn't even honor us. We
you know,
couldn't get anything.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And honestly,
What year was that?
What
Year was the
the
anniversary?
50th anniversary.
50th.
50th. Brendan 50th was last year.
If it wasn't for
2022.
Brendan Shanahan,
Okay, you know
had
why?
nothing.
2 years.
Because, and I say
Year
this,
and a half.
if we had Harper as the prime minister,
No problem.
absolutely.
I had already
yeah.
talked about
yeah.
it with him. And
You know,
Yeah.
he would have done that. And you know what? I honestly
Totally agree. It's
know,
ridiculous.
Trudeau wouldn't even talk to us. I mean,
Yeah.
look, Kenny Dryden, who's a liberal, you know,
Yeah.
he ran for
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah, yeah,
Him and Serge were supposed to do this after Patty died.
yeah.
Patty Stapleton was the force.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
And he used to call me all the time and try to get Tony to get involved. Tony didn't want any part of it.
Why?
He never wanted to go in the first place. And he never forgave me for it.
I see, and I would have thought, you know, because I have brothers, and we've had the opportunity a couple of times, my brothers and I, to play together over the years, because there were age differences and stuff. But I would have thought that what a great be on the same team, and
He didn't want to go. We had to give back all our money at the hockey school.
Yeah.
And we never ever got it back again. We lost it. We never got any money for our pension for 25 years. And from what I understand, it was Bathgate and Carl Brewer, who
Yeah.
weren't even on the team, that got it for us.
Yeah.
You know, we got screwed.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Tony didn't want any part of it. The stress on my brother and the goalies, Tony took it different than Kenny took it.
right.
Yeah.
Kenny took it a little bit less, I think. Although, and Tony played that second game against Russia and Toronto.
Yeah.
Tony only had 8 shots the first period. 4 were breakaways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
He played great.
and he
Yeah.
took it. My brother, you couldn't talk to him before a game. You couldn't say anything. I remember in '77 when we lost. First time I ever missed the playoffs. So I go to the World Cup in
Yeah. The World Championships.
Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
World Championship. We went there,
Yeah.
That's right. And then the Blackhawks lost out the first round, so Tony came over too, right? So Waller McKechnie comes up to me, and Waller was on the team, and he says, "Boy, can I go say hi to your brother?" It was before a game, and I knew that if he did, Tony's going to yell at him and tell him to screw off and all this other stuff. I said, yeah, go ahead. So he goes, "Hey, Tony, I'm Waller McKechnie." Tony said, "Who gives a shit? Get the hell out of here. Leave me alone." Waller comes back, he says, "What's going on?" I said, "Can't you see?"
David Gay.
He's focusing, man. Tony would focus on that game. You couldn't talk to him before the game. When we used to go into Chicago, I'd call him on the phone at home trying to bust him. When he came to Boston, I'd bust him. I took him out one night in Boston. We went to home at 5:30 in the morning. I remember this Copley Plaza, downtown Boston. Tony was bouncing off the wall as he's walking in. He shut us out the next night. About 35 shots we had, and he shut us out. He said, never the next night. It was 2 nights later that got me.
Well, 73. I mean, Tony in 73 against you guys was unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
Like, look who you had. Dryden in 71, your brother in 73, and Bernie Perrant in 74.
I know.
You know?
Well, yeah, those are the things. But if you without goaltending, I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't win.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well,
don't
listen,
win.
Yeah.
you know what? And I hate to do this. Like, at least for as far as the camera goes, we have to stop because we're going to run out of camera.
I'm sorry.
No.
I know,
Are
I
you
get
kidding?
talking.
One more
No,
thing.
I
One
need
more
more
thing.
cameras.
One more thing.
Okay.
Do you remember your first goal in the NHL
Sure. Against Terry Sawchuk.
against Terry Sawchuk?
He went down
Yeah.
on one knee.
Yeah.
Up over the shoulder.
Was that the game where you had with Gordie Howe? You guys had he
Actually, no,
Yeah,
because
that
I was
game-
playing regular with them.
Yeah.
But that was my only shift in the game with Howe when he gave me 6 stitches.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 seconds I was on the ice.
He was your hero, right?
Yeah, in the penalty box, and I have a towel, and I'm trying to stop the bleeding. I lean over and I say, "And you used to be my so-and-so idol." He said, "What you say, Wapo?" I went, "Ooh, nothing, Mr. Howe, absolutely nothing." Gordie was special.
Yeah.
He was a special person. Like, people always ask me, who was the best player I ever played? It's pretty hard to judge a goalie against a defenseman,
Yeah.
against a forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty hard. But Gordie could play all of them.
Yeah.
I believe he could play goal if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And so, in that respect, all around, Gordie, but how could you knock what Wayne did?
I know.
You can't. And how do you knock what Bobby Orr did?
I know.
in defense.
Yeah.
Even though there were other
So how
guys
do you
that came
answer
out,
it?
You know?
Can you answer it? Do you?
No, I say the best goalie I ever
Yeah.
played against was Terry Sawchuk.
Yeah.
The best defenseman was Orr. The best centerman or best forward I ever saw was Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
So, all around though,
Yeah.
if I needed a guy to play defense, and then play wing, and then play center,
Gordy.
and maybe play goal,
Yeah.
it would be Gordy.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now I'm going to
So
take
how do
this.
you judge?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this into a very deep journalistic question.
Oh, that's bad.
Okay. Let's say you're going out with the boys, and you go to a karaoke bar.
Yeah.
What's your go-to song?
Well, I don't do that. I never. One time I did it. to Jerry
There
Cheever.
is a recording of you
Well,
doing
that's
a
a
rock
song
and roll song.
we did called the Hockey Sock Rock. We
Yep.
raised $750,000 on juvenile diabetes. Alan Thicke and another Canadian who won numerous Academy Awards, also Canadian,
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
yeah.
Canadian.
wrote the Hockey Sock Rock.
Can't think of his name.
Robin Thicke, who is a very famous person now,
Yeah.
had diabetes, juvenile diabetes.
Okay.
I remember sitting in Alan's home in Los Angeles with Robin Thicke bouncing him on my knee when he was like 2 or 3 years old, not even.
Really?
And we did this for Alan to raise awareness for juvenile diabetes,
Okay.
and $750,000. Now, I can tell you this, with the reverberators and all the background and all that other stuff, and the brandy I drank, I sounded like Frank Sinatra. And I mean, they could make you sound any way
Yeah.
they wanted. And we did it. And I've gotten people laughing about it and everything else. And on the other side was Pardon My Misconduct
Yeah.
with Marcel and Charlie Simmer and Taylor.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, they weren't even half as good as we were.
Why? They never. You know what? Honestly, I didn't even know that. And
It was for JDF, for Juvenile Day.
Hey, let's be honest. It all stops and starts with "Honky Tonk Goose" by Johnny Bauer.
Yeah, that's right.
There's the original.
You know, as far as karaoke, I did do that one in London, Ontario training camp with Jerry Cheevers. We got on at Frankie Valley, oh pretty lady, down I pray, oh pretty lady.
really,
We did that.
That's
yeah.
it.
There
So
you go.
We did that. We were drunker than hell. But we did it.
Well, that's what you need to have.
Yeah.
So, you know what? This has been fantastic, and I'm not gonna. So I'm gonna.
I've enjoyed it.
I'm gonna gush a little bit because, as I told you before the start, you were my dad's favorite player of all time.
Your dad had good taste.
And he did, absolutely. You know, and no, but you know what? And you grow up, and watching you play hockey, and as a Bruins fan in that era, and as part of that, I mean, you know, they always say never meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. I have to say, not only have I not been disappointed, but I'm actually quite emotional about this. So I'm really quite. I don't know how I can say
well,
it.
you know what, Chris? That's all I can say is, you're editing this.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut that out.
Make sure I look good. That's all I'm saying.
Well, listen, you look good. You look good. And
Phil,
Thanks, Leo.
yeah,
Thank
and
you,
listen,
buddy.
thank
Thank
you
you
so
Thank
much,
you,
man.
man.
And thank you everybody for watching. This has been Offside with Haas McGuire. I'm Haas,
I'm McGuire.
and that's Espo.
There we go.